She was 2 games away from history, and then something happened that nobody watching could explain. Not a bad shot. Not one mistake. 6 games, gone one after another, at the exact moment the entire tennis world was about to witness something historic. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why it happened, because almost nobody covering this story got it right. Before we go any further, I need you to do one thing for me. If stories like this, the ones that dig past the scoreline and actually explain what is happening behind the scenes, are the kind of content you want more of, hit that subscribe button right now. Not because it helps the channel. Because if you do not, you are going to miss the next part of this story, the part where we find out if this was a one-time collapse or the start of something bigger. And trust me, you do not want to find out from someone else's video after it already happened. So subscribe now while you are thinking about it, because in about 10 minutes you are going to want to know what happens next, and I do not want you to miss it. Now let's get into it. If you have not been following women's tennis closely this year, here is what you missed. A 21-year-old from the Philippines, Eala, walked into the biggest tournaments in the sport and started beating almost everyone in front of her. Start with the resume. She beat Rybakina. She beat Iga Svitolina at the Berlin Tennis Open. She walked into Wimbledon and knocked out Iga Swiatek, one of the most dominant players of this entire era. Then in Washington, at the Wimbledon DC Open, she beat Jessica Pegula in the final to win her first ever WTA title. That is not a lucky week. That is not a fluke run where everything bounces your way. That is a player systematically taking down the best competition tennis has to offer, tournament after tournament, city after city. Here is where it gets serious. Heading into the Cincinnati Open, Eala had won 5 straight matches against top 10 opponents. 5 in a row. Think about what that means. Most players on tour, even good ones, even top 50 players, would sign for a streak like that in a heartbeat. She built it at 21 years old, ranked outside the top 15 in the world, in the middle of a single breakout summer. Every single time she stepped on court against a top 10 player, she was the one expected to lose. And every single time, she found a way to win anyway. So when she walked into Cincinnati, seated 17th, the storyline practically wrote itself. One more win over a top 10 name and she would have 6 straight. A number almost nobody her age reaches this fast. Set 1 against world number 10 Amanda Anisimova looked completely normal. Eala won it 6-4, playing exactly the tennis that had carried her through an entire summer of upsets. Solid serving, aggressive returns, the composure of someone who already knows she belongs in matches like this. Then set 2 happened. Anisimova started finding her range. The rallies Eala had been winning in set 1 started slipping the other way. 6-4, this time in the other direction. 1 set apiece. Still not alarming on its own. Every top player drops a set here and there. That is just tennis. But then came the 3rd set. The one that actually mattered. Early on, Eala looked fine. She held serve, then broke, and suddenly found herself up 2-0. 2 games away from closing out a match that would have extended her top 10 win streak to 6 straight. 2 games away from another headline about the unstoppable run continuing. And then something happened that even her biggest supporters could not have predicted. She did not win another game. Not one. Anisimova won 6 straight games to close out the match. 4-6, 6-4, 6-2. Think about that shift for a second. A player who was up 2-0, controlling the tempo, dictating play, suddenly could not find a single hold or a single break for the rest of the set. That is not a slow fade. That is a cliff. So the question becomes obvious. What actually causes a collapse like that? Is it nerves creeping in when the finish line gets close? Is it a physical issue nobody saw on camera? Or is there something happening beneath the surface that a simple scoreline can never show you? Here is where it gets even stranger, because this was not the first time in recent weeks that one of her win streaks had ended abruptly. Just over a week before Cincinnati, Eala walked into the Canadian Open in Toronto carrying a different streak, 7 straight match wins overall, the longest of her young career. In the round of 16 there, seeded 25th, she ran into 12th-seeded Belinda Bencic and lost in straight sets, 6-4, 6-love. That second set alone, a total shutout. 6-0. No fight, no response, just games slipping away one after another. Now put those two results side by side. A 7-match win streak ending in a shutout set against Bencic in Toronto. A 5-match top 10 win streak ending in a 6-game collapse against Anisimova in Cincinnati. Both happening within the same 2-week stretch. Both featuring a version of Eala who suddenly looked nothing like the player who had spent the summer beating some of the best names in the sport. Is that a coincidence? 2 separate bad days that just happened to land close together? Or is it a pattern? The kind of pattern that shows up right before people are willing to admit something is actually going on? Because here is what makes this genuinely hard to explain away. This is not a player who has shown signs of choking under pressure all year. This is someone who beat Iga Swiatek at Wimbledon. Someone who took down Jessica Pegula in a title match final, the single highest pressure moment a player can face. If nerves were the problem, you would expect to see cracks in moments like those. Instead, you saw the opposite. She thrived in exactly the situations that are supposed to break young players. So if it is not nerves and it does not look like she suddenly forgot how to play tennis, then what is left? Stay with me because the answer is sitting in plain sight, and once you see it, you will not be able to unsee it in every match she plays from here on. Here is something almost nobody talking about this loss has actually pointed out. Eala did not lose because she got worse. She may have lost because she never had a single moment to stop. Look at the calendar for a second, not the scoreboard. Washington, then Toronto, then Cincinnati. 3 major WTA events back to back to back in less than 2 weeks. No rest week in between. No break to let the body reset after playing a title final. Just tournament after tournament on hard courts in the middle of the North American summer heat. Now think about what winning actually costs a player physically. Every match she won in that stretch was not a free pass to the next round. It was 3 sets of sprinting, twisting, and grinding against players who were also trying to end her season early. She did not cruise through Washington. She fought through a final against Jessica Pegula to win it. She did not cruise through Toronto either. She battled through a 3-set, injury-affected win over Katie McNally just to reach the round where Bencic beat her. Every win added more matches to her legs, not fewer. So here is the assumption almost everyone made without even realizing it. We assumed the streak ended because a better player finally showed up and exposed her. We assumed Anisimova, ranked 10th in the world, was simply too strong on that particular day. But flip that thinking around for a second. Amanda Anisimova being ranked 10th is not some shocking twist. She is a legitimate top 10 player, a former world number 3. Losing to her is not an upset. It happens to plenty of players on tour. The real surprise is not that Eala lost to a top 10 opponent. The real surprise is that she pushed the match to a deciding set at all and actually built a 2-game lead in it after everything her body had already been through that summer. Think of it like a runner attempting 3 marathons in 2 weeks. Nobody watching that runner stumble in the final mile of race number 3 would say their legs suddenly got weaker as an athlete. They would say the math finally caught up. You cannot keep asking a body to perform at its absolute peak, over and over, without giving it any time to recover, and expect it to deliver the exact same result forever. At some point the tank runs low, not because the talent disappeared, but because nobody, not even the best players in the world, can outrun physics forever. And this connects directly back to those 6 missing games in the 3rd set. That is usually where fatigue shows up first, not in the legs giving out completely, but in the small things. A split-second slower reaction on a return. A first serve percentage that quietly drops. The tiny margins that separate a top 10 win from a top 10 loss, disappearing 1 point at a time, right when the match is on the line. So the streak breaking in Toronto and the streak breaking in Cincinnati may not be 2 unrelated bad days. They could be 2 symptoms of the exact same cause. A player who spent 3 straight weeks proving she belongs among the best in the world, finally running low in the one area that talent alone cannot fix, which is simply having enough left in the tank when it matters most. If that reframes how you see this loss, you are not alone. Once you stop asking what went wrong with her game and start asking what her schedule actually demanded of her body, this entire story shifts. This stops looking like a collapse and starts looking like the price of an incredible summer, paid all at once in the 3rd set of one match. Tell me honestly in the comments, did you see this coming? Or did this catch you off